Yo,
Set.
I say this with all due respect
To me or in general?
in general.
Oh, okay, cool.
But
However,
having sex should not be a chore.
copy.
And if it is a chore, and you know it's a chore, you should not demand or push monogamy on your partner.
Okay. That's fair.
Fair?
Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just
Why is
looking
he
at
looking
you.
at me like that?
I'm just who
Why I
am
feel
I
like that was directed at me?
Who am I supposed to be looking at then? It's just me and you in here. I'm not gonna look anyway. I'm gonna look up. I'm looking up.
Talk to the people. Talk to the people and tell them that. Well, I thought that my sex drive would have been renewed with the vow renewal. But since that shit ain't happened, my sex drive ain't happening either.
So you blaming COVID on your sex drive?
I'm blaming COVID on ruining my entire shit. Because the renewal that I was expecting to have, a bitch is out here struggling. Dead ass.
So, story time. I'm going to take y'all way back to last night. All right? By this time, you guys have already seen the promo video and videos and pictures that we spent time in the Bel Air mansion. And you see Kadeen had her whole get up on, her whole 90s girl.
I did.
Her face was beat.
I was going for like Brooklyn / 90s / Barbie, you know, like fusion.
We all saw.
A fusion.
Yeah, we saw. Story time, my time. So she had on the whole face beat. The baby hairs was laid.
Okay.
The rhinestones. She had about
sticking.
77 pounds of weave in her hair, right? So the whole day, she knew I was looking at her. Y'all saw the way I was looking at her, right? And y'all saw the videos. And everybody was putting like, it's the way davao be looking at Kadeen for me. It's the way he looks at her for me. So everybody saw the way I was looking at her, right? What y'all didn't know was that she had that same hairstyle 3 days in a row with the makeup because it took 3 days to film everything. So the first day she said, yo, I got you at the end of the shoot. I'm gonna let you mess this up. I know how you like to do. So I'm like, let's go. We gonna mess this up, right? We get done filming yesterday. We get home. She's like, oh, I'm tired. I need to go take a nap and chill. So I said, fine. She said, I'm gonna leave my face on and my hair for you, daddy. I'm gonna leave it on for you, right? So I was like, all right, cool. She gonna leave it on. So we go to my homeboy's house about 7 o'clock because I go to work out. We bring the family so we can spend some family time together. When we get back to the crib, I'm like, boom, it's 10 o'clock. Jackson's already going to bed. So it's just me and wifey. So I'm like, you know, it's about to go down. She sit down while we about to watch Greenleaf, and she start taking the weave out.
Talk about foreplay. Watching Greenleaf. Okay, go ahead.
First of all, that's your show. I don't even know why. I already knew what time it was at night, but she wants to watch Greenleaf. So I'm like, you want to watch an episode of Greenleaf?
I'm trying to catch up because the father, we thought he died, but he turns out he ain't dead. So, you know.
Right. Don't ruin it for
My
nobody.
bad.
Don't
Sorry.
ruin nobody.
Spoiler.
You know, you ruin it. Don't
Spoiler
ruin the show. You know?
All right, my bad.
So now she go to put on Greenleaf. She start taking the weave out. So now I kind of got an attitude. So I'm like, you said you was going to let me mess it up. But now you taking a week. So now I'm kind of mad. So I'm like, y'all don't even want to watch Greenleaf no more. She's like, you don't want to watch one episode? She already fading half sleep, right? So I'm like, nah, let's just go to bed. So we go upstairs to go lay in the bed. And I guess she sensed that I had an attitude. So now she's just like, damn, I'm going to have to, fulfill my promise. So I'm not saying nothing because I had already decided that I was going to let this go. 10 years of marriage, I'm not going to be on her about it, right? So now we laying in the bed. She's like, can we watch one episode of Greenleaf? So we turn Greenleaf on. We laying in the bed. I'm on my side of the bed. I put the covers on. So I'm like, don't touch me. You stay on your side. I'm staying on my side because I don't even want to be aroused. She gonna come scoot her butt on me and lean on me and then tap me on my chest, right? We 20 minutes into Greenleaf, right? Tap me on my chest. I look over at her. She look over at me. She gonna say to me, Mom, I know you listen, but pardon my French. She gonna say to me, you feel like eating my and she know that I had, first of all, she had the project ponytail. She's sitting up in the bed. She got the project ponytail sitting on the top of her head like this. This is what the ponytail look like.
Davao.
She laying in the bed. She got her face half beat. The rhinestones is still here.
My shit was still beat.
The baby hairs is still laid, but she got this little ponytail sitting up here like this. This is what it looked like. And she gonna lean over at me and poke me in my chest.
Davao.
Ask me if I gotta perform on her. You made promises to me. So you know what I did, y'all, right? What I do?
Took that shit.
I said, yep. And that right there epitomizes married sex after 10 years. You take what you can get. So I took it.
Listen. Great. So we can go back into it where I'm going to tell you my side of things. Fabulous.
Yes.
So yeah, after story time, I feel like it's necessary for me to give my reply, my rebuttal, my response, my side of things. And marriage after 10 years, ugh. You know what? Let me just sing the song, okay? Truth is I'm tired.
Oh my gosh.
Options are few.
The options are one.
I've tried to pray.
I'll pray with you.
But where are you?
I'm right here.
I'm all churched out, hurt and abused.
Don't nobody abuse you.
I can't fake.
I'm trying to love you.
Say it again. I can't fake. One more time. I can't fake what's left to do.
I don't even mind if you fake it. I just want it.
DeVal, you know that's a whole lie.
I do.
Because
I don't
anytime
like
I
that.
attempt to fake it, you can see right
I
through
could
that
tell I
shit.
don't like
You're
it.
like, you know what, Kay? I've known you for almost 18
I don't like
years.
that.
We've
I
been
don't
doing this for almost 18 years. Don't be faking it.
18 years next week. Well, by the time this episode airs, it'll be over 18 years. I know when she's faking it.
Truth is I'm weak.
Why you so tired and weak though?
So no strength to
Why?
fight.
Why?
I be tired. Well, along with the vow renewal not being renewed,
Oh my gosh.
my sex drive wasn't renewed, nor has my energy been renewed. I don't understand what it is. It's like a thing. Like when you become a mom, you just be tired.
So tell
in
your
abundance.
side of the story.
You're tired in perpetuity.
So tell you, I hear this. She says all the time. Once you have a baby,
perpetuity.
Once you have a baby,
okay?
you be tired in perpetuity.
The tired just keep on coming. Now, if I can get some bank accounts and money in perpetuity, that'd be cute. But
I'll be working on that,
tiredness-
and I got you on that.
You do. So back to story time.
You be full of
So back
shit.
to story
Go ahead,
time.
man.
All right, first of
Go
all,
ahead.
don't disrespect my weave. Don't disrespect my wig piece. Okay?
This is what it
Because
was,
my girl
y'all.
Janelle worked.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna put this up here for the rest of the episode, so people can see what I had to look at in the house. I'm leaving this right here.
Wait, I gotta fix. Let me fix it for you because you gotta tuck it a little more.
Tuck
Hold
it.
on, let me tuck it like that.
Tuck it. So for y'all who can't see, y'all can check us out. on
That's
YouTube.
what
Y'all
it
can
looked
see
like. Yeah.
What the ponytail looked like.
Right.
Her
Because
project.
it was like
Pat,
a little bump.
Her Project
Yeah.
Pat ponytail. This is what I had to look at in the bed next to me.
Right. So what my girl.
Yo,
I'm
what you
fixing
doing?
it for you. If you're gonna do the whole joint, you gotta do it right.
This is what it looked like right here. This is what I had to look like. Look at.
So
This
anyway.
is what she gave me. This was supposed to entice me.
Yo, but my face was beat. My baby hairs were still laid, rhinestones and all. The wig piece, right? Because, Janelle was doing a quick joint for me I could take out easily. It was starting to fall out around about 7 p.m., So I was like, I'm going to leave the wig piece in as we go to your friend's house so they don't look at me sideways. I left it in. So by the time I got home, it was like hanging. So I had to take it out.
That's convenient.
What would have really been ghetto was if I left the braids that she had in the back. But I pulled the braids down and I was like, okay, so this is a situation. It's like a half up, half down. You got the little bump on top and we're good to go. No?
Guys, all of this stuff is a distraction from the fact that she promised me something 3 days in advance and it was time to pay the piper.
Listen.
And she was not ready to pay the piper.
So your girl was getting tired around about 10 o'clock when we were leaving his friend's house. And I was just like, oh, God, I know I made a promise. And I try not to make a promise that I can't keep. However, at that point in time, I was like, listen, I'm going to leave the face on. You're going to get this ghetto ponytail. And you're going to have to rev this engine up because assist is on, like, empty, like, on E.
So you heard what she said, guys. This is part of the problem for men because, and here's the thing. I don't want to say just men and women thing because we've gotten a lot of emails from women who said they have higher sex drives than their husbands.
Right.
So,
I guess it's like
all those
dependent upon the
statistics show
person.
that that's the anomaly. Majority of the time, especially at our age, men's sex drive are higher than women, between the ages of 30 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
What the issue for me is this. If I'm going to compromise with you and say, you know what? I'm not going to push you for sex when you don't want to have sex. And you give me a date and time. and it's time to pay the piper, I don't want to hear your damn excuses.
No, it's not.
And men get pissed off because then y'all don't want to even discuss the fact that you made a promise. And whenever men talk about sex, women always are like, y'all gonna have to figure it out and do what y'all want to do. No, don't leave it up to us. Y'all want to be in this with us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm just having a hard time talking to you with that ghetto pony.
So exactly. So the fact that you gotta look at me with this ghetto pony, imagine how I feel looking at you. I'm trying to be sexual and trying to be intimate with you, and you got this ponytail sticking up on your head.
Davao,
That's what I had to look at.
It was cute. You just wanted the whole wig piece, but listen.
I did want the whole, because that's what I deserve.
I understand. You do deserve
I deserve that, yes.
Next time, Janelle, I'm going to have you sew that shit in versus pinning it in, because clearly that did not work.
Yes, Janelle, I'm going to need that. I'm going to need that. And I'm going to need us to be able to discuss the fact that men have needs too.
Absolutely.
Women have needs, and it's our responsibility to make sure we meet your needs. It's our needs, and women don't like to hear men talk about their needs. They don't. Y'all don't. When we talk about it, people be like, oh, y'all so immature. You so immature. Men always want to talk about sex.
I understand completely that we're wired differently. Like,
Absolutely.
That's just what it is. You know what I mean? So can I say that I empathize with you on that level? I can't, because I don't know what it's like to want to have sex every single day, all day. I don't know what that's like. I wish I could meet you at that level, but it just doesn't happen for us that way. So knowing that we're wired differently, it's not that I don't want to hear what you have to say. I can hear you. But the matter of the fact is, like, I need to put a action plan in place to how can I try to attempt to meet you somewhat halfway.
That's what I've been asking for. Issue. I've been asking for this for 10 years,
listen,
guys.
So after 10 years of marriage, we've been through several stages of intimacy naturally.
Yes.
Been together almost 18 years. So where are we now? Where can we go from here?
Well, let's talk about the stages of intimacy.
Right.
We got lust, romance, peer bonding, which means being able to face uncomfortable truths about each other and deciding if we can live with those truths. All right. Forevermore, or locking it down, you know, we're there. All right. The ordeal, or threats and tests characterized by things like babies, mortgages, redundancy, death, going through life cycles with your partner, stuff like that. So those are the ordeals. Like, that's the stuff that we're going through too as a marriage. And then it's the real deal. So these are the phases of sex, which is considered as children fly the nest. Parents are often faced with two major concerns. Explains neuroscientist Bryant. In the first instance, they are worried about the welfare of their offspring and can start to feel a lack of control as they no longer oversee.
Read it slowly so that people can hear it. You're reading through it like you're just trying to.
I think they got it, but you want me to read it slowly for you, even though you have the paper?
I have it, but they don't have the paper, so I want to make sure people are like getting it.
I think they listening.
I know, but you're reading kind of fast. Go ahead.
As children fly the nest, parents are often faced with two major concerns.
You're so obnoxious.
Explains neuroscientist Bryant. In the first instance, they are worried about the welfare of their offspring and can start to feel a lack of control as they can no longer oversee their everyday lives. So what happens is that people, as they get married, go through all of these different stages of intimacy. I think right now, you're at the real deal, right? Because we have Jackson, who is in school, our kids, you know, out there doing their thing. Well, Jackson not really in school, but I feel like your mind be all over the place.
That's fair.
I'm still at lust.
He never left
I think I've been in lust since I was 18.
I love it. And you know what's amazing about men in general, well, you particularly, because I can't speak for every man. However, you've been in lust through every phase of everything. So when I felt my worst, when I was 9 months pregnant, when I was in the 4th trimester with like a swollen vagina and like leaky boobs and shit, you thought that shit was sexy. And to me, there was absolutely nothing sexy about that. Like, I was like, yo, I had a baby in me, I got a baby on me, like, somebody's always touching me. So I had my phases where it was very different.
Let's just dial it back. The leaky boobs, I didn't think it was sexy. The swollen vagina now, all right, for obvious reasons, you guys know why I would think that's sexy. It's very lubricated down there, okay? In any event, I am not allowed, based on our marriage laws and the contract we've signed with each other, to have sex with anybody else.
Right.
So these urges that come, I have to share them with the one person I decide to spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
So that brings me back to my soundbite.
Okay.
Right? I don't understand, and this is what we can discuss. As a woman, because I don't want to say it's a man versus woman thing, but a lot of women do complain, oh, my husband's always on me. Why is he always on me? If sex is going to be a chore for you that you don't really want to do, why do women constantly push monogamy on men? If you know that you don't want to have to deal with him all the time just wanting you, why do you push monogamy on men?
Well, who's to say I pushed anything on anybody? Like,
Well, we
if
know
two
that you pushed
people-
monogamy on me.
I pushed monogamy. I forced you to get married to me?
Time out. I didn't say you forced me to get married, but did you not say to me that you wanted to be engaged and you wanted to be married before you lived with me? You didn't say that?
I want $1 billion. That don't mean I'm going to get it. I
But-
can want
but I'm
something,
asking,
but not...
You right now, you
Nobody,
dodging the question.
nobody pressed you to do it. Yes, is that something I wanted? Yes, it was. But
You didn't press me. Are you going to lie now
So
to
you're
the
gonna
people
say-
because we talking about sex?
Davao,
You're going to
Davao.
lie now to the people?
DeVal, knowing
Kadeen,
a
you didn't want
strong-
monogamy?
Of course I did.
So then why are you avoiding the question?
That's not avoiding the question. I'm saying, does that mean because I want it and I requested that you were going to deliver it? Like, nobody pressed you for that.
Talking about, you just said you wanted it and requested it. Do you not hear yourself?
I can make a request. Is the request going to be granted?
Am I
That's
not?
up to
am
you,
I?
bro.
Am I not granting you monogamy?
You are granting it to me.
So this is my question.
Look
This is
at
my
you
question.
always. Look at your boy. Look at your boy.
This is my question. If you wanted monogamy,
Okay.
why would you want monogamy if sex is a chore for you? That's the question. You're avoiding the question.
I'm not avoiding the question, but at first you said women or in general me specifically are pushing monogamy on somebody. Okay, yes, that's something that I wanted, but I didn't press you for it and be like, Deval, I'm gonna hold a gun to
Time
your
out.
head to propose to
So
me.
time out. Do
Also,
women-
also, let me finish. Also, I don't feel like I was adequately prepared for marriage. And I've said that before because if I knew that marriage and monogamy was going to involve me trying to meet you where you were at sexually for years to come, then I probably would have reevaluated it if I wanted to be monogamous anyway.
So that's fair, but we're not even talking about marriage. Let's even talk about dating, right?
Okay.
Two people are dating. Typically in society, who asks for exclusivity first, a woman or a man?
I would say a woman.
Thank you. That was my whole point. See, you were going all over the place. If women typically ask for exclusivity first, then when they get exclusivity, say, he always on me, he always want to have sex. Why are we asking men for exclusivity if we do not want to participate in sex at the same level as men? We have to think about what that does to a
I hear
man.
that.
And I don't think that conversation is being had.
Okay, I agree. And that part I agree with. Yes, that women are typically the ones that will ask for the exclusivity. I get that, yes. But what I'm saying is, me as a woman, I don't think that I was necessarily prepared or in the mindset to know that. It's almost like once you get into it, then you're like, oh, shoot, like this is what I'm going to have to keep up with.
I get that.
Us speaking as 36-year-old people know that now. Had I known that at 26,
I get that.
I would have to contend with that.
I get
Even in
that.
the dating realm,
I
then
get
it
that.
might have been something I would have reevaluated.
So now let's go back to what you asked me. You said to me you never pressured me to get married. In 2007, we were living together, right? You said you no longer wanted to live with me and shack up with me because you wanted to be my wife, not my girlfriend.
Right, because I wanted to know where
That
the
don't
relationship
sound like
was going.
pressure to you?
It sounds like me voicing where I see my life going. It sounds like me saying this is what I would like. You can decide to meet me there. If not, we can reevaluate what exactly we're doing.
Okay.
Would
Additionally,
I call it pressure per se? Not necessarily pressure.
It is pressure. But you don't want to say it's pressure. What about being
You
engaged?
might have felt pressure.
What about
There was
being
no
engaged?
pressure behind it.
I said, we don't got to rush to get married. You said, I don't want to be engaged longer than a year. Is that not pressure?
That's me voicing my opinion about it.
Sounds like pressure to me. So you say you want to be engaged, I get engaged. You say you want to be married within a year. We do that. We get married, then you make it seem like sex is a chore to your husband. Once again, I ask the question, why do women who push forth monogamy on the man they're dating then get overwhelmed with that man who tries to provide that monogamy to you? Why do you get upset when we're trying to be what you want us to be? You don't want me to be with no one else, right? Right? I'm asking. This is a serious
Right,
question.
yes,
You don't want
absolutely.
me to be with no one else.
Absolutely.
So if I decide that all this testosterone I have, I want to give to you, why is this so overwhelming now? This is what you asked for.
Again, 26 and 27-year-old Kadeen
Uh-huh.
was like, okay, here's the natural succession of life. You graduate, you're working, you meet somebody, you guys are dating. you want children.
Yes.
I want children.
Yes.
We don't want to wait too long or too late to have children.
Yes.
Though now a lot of people are waiting until their 30s to have
Yes.
children.
And I understand why.
And we at that time felt like, well, we're doing everything in this natural succession that the forces that be have given us this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that too is not knowing that you have the liberty and the choice, and there shouldn't be any pressure to wait, right? So 27-year-old Kadeen in that moment felt like, okay, so we are dating for a certain amount of time. At that point, we were dating for 7 or 8 years, right? 7 or 8 years is a bit of time to be invested in somebody, to not know, is there a future here? What are we doing? So
Absolutely.
at that point, I proposed to you the idea of engagement. We got engaged. Then it was like, all right, we want to have kids. I particularly didn't want to have a child until I was married. So it's like, all right, well, we're engaged. We might as well, the next phase is get married. And then naturally girls get excited. The minute you're engaged and it's just like, oh, fiance. You know, he put a ring on it. It's like the wedding planning has to commence. Like, that's just naturally what most women do. Okay? So that happened. And then we ended up getting married. However, I did not realize that after having children, after, you know, career changes, all of the turbulences that we've been through in life, that was going to have a direct effect on my sex drive. And,
That's fair.
And me not knowing that, if I knew it then, I probably would have rethought, you know, what I was going to do when it came to marriage and monogamy.
And that is fair. And this is why I like to have this discussion. And I think we should have this discussion, because people look at us and say, oh, relationship goals, right? Marriage goals. They don't know what is being discussed behind closed doors, right? So, for example, one of the things that I have deduced through being married to you for a long period of time is this, and this is not about a woman thing. This is about me and you. I learned that you were never taught what it entails to be with someone in a monogamous relationship. The same way I was never taught that.
Right.
So what happens is that we both have expectations of what we think it's going to be like.
Of course.
And then the minute it's not like that, we start to project our issues that we have with that on each other. So you get mad at me,
who else we gonna
and I
project
get
it
mad
on?
at you. So the problem is not so much the reality of what happens, is that we all have this ideal of what it's supposed to be like. And I'm gonna give you an example. As a man, right, in my from 18 to 22, we had sex routinely, like all the time.
Yes.
That was it, right? Once we moved into together and we were living together in our own house in Michigan, sex started to slow down. This was before kids. This was before marriage. This was before you was working. This was before any stresses, period.
Right.
This was just like sex just started to slow down.
Right.
And
but also, too, 18 to 22 was like college. It was my first time out of my parents' house.
Right.
You know, we were living in this utopia that was college
Right.
life. And also, too, what was the other thing that I was going to say? So distance. We had distance.
Yes, we had distance.
So there was time for us
So-
to like miss each other and be like, oh, I
Absolutely.
can't wait to see you again. And when we do
That's
see
what
each
I was
other,
getting to.
yeah, okay, sorry.
So once we started to move in together
Right.
and you see the same person every single night, the distance that we had when we were in college and I was traveling and we were doing different things, that distance allows time for you to kind of reboot your sex
Yes.
drive.
Yes.
For me, I don't necessarily have to reboot my sex drive. The minute I see you, I want to have sex. So when we were missing each other, it seemed normal that we had sex all the time. But then when we think about it, we really wasn't having sex all the time because we didn't see each other all the time.
Right.
Then when we moved in together and we see each other every day, every time I want to have sex, I look to you. It became overwhelming. So, and the reason why I say that is because the conversation starts happening was, why do men fear marriage? Why do men fear marriage? And I'm going to explain this so that everybody can understand this. When you're a young man, and you talk to your friends who are married about getting married, the first thing they do is say, take your time. Right? They don't ever explain why, because men aren't vocal. We don't discuss these things. We're not emotional. All they'll say is, "Ooh, take your time. You got time for that. You sure you want to do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, you sure?" And they're like, shit gonna change. And then you like, what does that mean? Oh, don't worry about it. Shit gonna change. So no one really tells you as a man neither what exactly is gonna change and how it's gonna change and why it's changing. But I've learned over years why it's changed and how it's changed. For example, when we were in college and we were having sex a lot, and I was at football practice and I used to go away games, stuff like that, we had time apart, right? Once we moved in together and we were having sex routinely, your body couldn't handle it.
Right.
Like physically,
physically
couldn't handle it. You would get UTIs, you would get bacterial infections because it's the same pounding every day. So as a man, you start to realize, like, you know what, we are not just wired differently mentally, physically we are wired differently. She can't take everything that you want to give her all the time. But since no one tells you that, you just expect that this woman who wants me to be loyal to her, monogamous to her, is going to want to have sex every time I want to have sex. And it's not until you move in with a woman and you live with her all the time do you realize that she can't do that. You see what I'm saying? So not only are women not being taught what it's like to be in a monogamous relationship, young men are not being taught what it's like to be in a monogamous relationship. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand completely because I experienced the same thing. And that's why I'm grateful for platforms like this or just our generation of people who are speaking up and speaking out and speaking to each other about these things, because then maybe people will make more educated decisions about whether or not they do want to be married or they do want to be in a monogamous relationship, or, you know, what actually is involved in that. And the crazy thing about marriage is that, you know, one of the things you always hear is like, you know, you got to compromise. But like, what happens when one party feels like they're compromising more than the other, or one person feels like they're sacrificing more than the other? Then that becomes an issue, because a lot of times we try to meet each other halfway, but you still feel like you're ended up with the short end of the stick. And it just may be too, because you literally have a bigger sex drive than me. And for me, it just takes way more to get me to a point sometimes where I'm even willing to do that. Like, back to your story, it was like, damn, I know I promised him. I promised him some ass tonight.
Promised him.
And I was like, damn, I can't not do this, but I want to go to sleep. Like, I really just want to wash my face and go to sleep, but I don't want to disappoint him. So there I felt like, you know what? Let me try to do something to genuinely get myself in the mood, or with some assistance.
So this is what she did, y'all. This is what she did, the ponytail. This is what she felt like. Now, here's another thing, too, and let's be fair. I'm willing to compromise, right?
Yes,
am I not?
You are willing to
We
compromise.
don't have sex every day. We don't have sex. In college, we used to have sex 2 times a day. You know, we see each other. We was like rabbits, right? I compromise. And I even said to you, I'm not going to push for when I want to have sex. I'm going to allow you to get back in the mood, and then when you come to me to have sex, because I want the sex to be enjoyable.
Facts, but it'd be a problem when me having to reset my sex clock be longer than you expect it to be.
No, listen.
And then that'd be a problem.
Hold on, there's a study.
I was about to pull up the same quote.
Go ahead
and
pull
say
up
it.
the same quote.
Go ahead and say it.
You can pull it up. You can pull it up.
I'm going to say it so DeVal can go off. All right?
No,
He can go off.
say it.
So it's funny, we were talking about this episode on the way in, and our amazing manager, Denora, she was like, listen, here's a quote that I literally just heard in the Uber on the way here. Most men will happily have less sex for more peace.
That is
lies.
Yo, listen. Okay, the key word here is happily.
I agree.
Happily.
Can you see this nigga over here skipping down the block happy?
Because I get more sex.
Because he gets
more peace and less sex.
I'm just trying to envision DeVal right now with his headset and his ghetto ponytail just skipping down the block, like happily.
No.
Happily, because he's like, you know what? I have peace in my home, in my life, because I'm having less sex.
Now, here's the truth, though. Here's the truth. The type of peace they may be talking about is a different type of peace. You and I have a great relationship. Right? And people ask me all the time, so if sex is that bad in marriage, why do you stay married? Because sex isn't everything. That's number one. Our relationship outside of just our sex life is amazing. Like, you're my best friend. We have a lot of fun together. Why are you making that face? Why are you making that face?
I mean, we do. However, sex is like that like looming. It's like when somebody farts in a room, and then it's like the fart.
Wait, what?
It's like a fart.
What kind of sex you be having where your sex is like farts?
Listen, it's like a fart in the room, and the shit just be lingering. Like, you know, that shit be that thick.
You see?
That thick smell that like won't escape the room.
That's
and it's
how she views sex,
it's like
guys.
looming sometimes.
That's how she views
sex. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, in the cartoons when they have the green fingers and it's like going like right through your nose, like that.
That's what sex is. Y'all hear this?
That's how sex be sometimes.
Look at her face.
Not all the time.
Y'all see this? That's how sex is.
Sometimes.
But if she can describe sex like that,
but we have a great relationship.
No, don't try to backtrack.
We do have a great relationship.
Since she says that, right? If sex feels like that to you, why does it bother you if I have sex with someone else?
Not sex. I'm saying the topic of sex, like the discussions that happen around sex are lingering. Even though it's not just like the number one.
You said sex.
No, okay. Let me clarify.
Yeah, please clarify, because you made it seem like sex is that terrible.
No, I'm not talking about sex. No, not the act of sex.
Yo, you need to clarify. Great sex. You need to clarify.
All right, let me.
Because you just said sex is like a fart. Green fingers going up your nose. That's what you said. So if sex is like a fart, then you wouldn't care if I farted on somebody else, right? Let the nigga go out there and just fart. You wouldn't care.
He'll be sharing farts with everybody.
Exactly.
You get a fart. You get a fart. You get a
Exactly.
fart. No, let me clarify that.
Please.
The act of sex is not the fart.
Okay.
Okay? It's the discussion surrounding sex, or like the heavy looming tension that sometimes happens around sex. Because when we do have sex, we have amazing sex.
Yes.
Right? We
Yes.
are best friends.
That's
We
why I
have
be
an
wanting to
amazing
keep doing it.
relationship. But the reason why I was like, was because I know that the topic of sex sometimes, as great as things are, can be a damper.
Because you always say to me, sex is more important to me than it is to you. You always say that. It's not high on your totem pole, your priority list.
No, it's high because I know it affects you, so it still has to affect me. But if I just like was to go down the list of things that I need on a day-to-day basis, personally, then no, sex is not high on the list for me.
Right. So, and this is just another thing that men always want to hear women explain, and no woman has ever been able to explain this to me. If you don't need sex and sex is not high on your priority list of the things you need, why does it bother you so much if he wants to have sex with someone else?
Somebody answer this question for DeVal. We need to actually have listener letters.
Please.
Put in the subject line, like,
Because women
what
can't.
can we
That
say
doesn't
to
make
have
sense
them
to
put
me.
in the subject line?
It doesn't make sense to me. Bro.
As a rebuttal to this particular sex episode.
Every time I'm having this discussion with women and I ask that question, they get very silent. I said, you keep saying sex ain't that important. I don't know why y'all make sex so important. So if it's not important, then why don't you just let them have sex with other people?
Right. So
then they
just
get quiet.
Throw monogamy
know
away.
why?
Throw marriage away at that point, because it's like, what's the point?
I'm gonna tell you why. The idea that a woman can tell a man not to have sex with anybody else, then tell that man when he's gonna have sex, how often he's gonna have sex, and how he has sex is extremely selfish. And women don't want to admit it, but it's the truth. It is the truth. The idea that a woman can say to a man, you can't have sex with no other women in the world. You can only have sex with me, but you only gonna have sex with me when I want to have sex. And you only gonna have sex how I want to have sex.
So you're talking about married people or dating people? Because
anybody who says that, because it's even for a man to say that to a woman is just selfish. For one person to say to another person, you can't do anything else, but you only gonna do what I want in the time I want it, is selfish. Period. But women have found a way to make it seem like that is okay, and it's not. And for men who are married or in a monogamous relationship, it's frustrating to try to live in that realm.
So it sounds like some people need to be getting divorces. Some people need to not be married.
Some people need not to get married.
Some people not. Yeah. And if
But
you know early on, unlike me, who will completely admit that I didn't necessarily know early on that I would have to be putting it out every single day, then I probably wouldn't be married too. To be quite honest, you know what I mean?
I don't blame you.
We could have been best friends, co-parenting and whatnot, but we wouldn't have been married, because I feel like married people will be like, or married women, since you're asking about women not being able to answer this question for you, then it'd just be like, okay, so why are we married then? Like, I guess along with marriage comes monogamy. That's synonymous, pretty much. So if that's something that women won't be willing to do, then we should be letting people go.
See, but this is my point. When men try to explain this, you know what women say? Oh, you just immature. You need to grow up. When you going to grow up and start being a man? When you going to settle down? You know how many of my single male friends have heard that? They're in their 30s and they have multiple women because they don't want to disappoint no one by trying to be monogamous and realizing they can't be monogamous. So they say things like, you know what? Relationships really don't work for me. We can just have fun. Women call them immature. They say they're dogs, everything.
So what about a man that wants a legacy and a family and a something past just the sex part of it? Then how does that fall into play if it's just, okay, we're avoiding committing to somebody because of sex, but then now we want a family or we want,
because that ultimately comes to my point of why I'm married and why I think that we work. Of course we have issues within our sex life, and when we say issues, it's really not have issues. We have sex 3 to 4 times a week, right? If it's not intercourse, we have some type of sex 3 times a week at least. Sometimes it's less, you know what I'm saying? But I would say on average about 3 times a week.
Yep, and we still have issues. So.
And we still have issues because, and some of our issues arise in how we get to sex.
Right.
Because you feel like as a wife, even when you don't want to have sex, you have to have sex. And for me as a husband, or do something sexual.
Yeah.
So for me as a husband, it's like, I want to accept that from my wife, but I want to be wanted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want it to be enjoyable. I don't want to lay in the bed.
Going
and
back to the chore part.
The chore part, right. I don't want to lay in the bed and you just like, here, come on. Like, even though we may have sex like that, that's not enjoyable for you and it's not enjoyable for me.
Right.
So I'll leave.
So that's one day out of the 3 to 4 days that is like a wash, because it's like, who really benefited from that
right.
at that point?
So no one benefits from it. So that's where me as a husband has said, you know what? I don't want you to feel pressure of when to have sex. So I'll just wait for when you're ready to have sex, for us to have sex so that we can be good. We've come to that conclusion. But then it's like, when you're ready to have sex, I at least want you to, you know, put on a nice outfit, make it nice. I don't want you, now you're ready to have sex, let's just jump into it. It's like, if we're going to compromise and I'm going to agree to have less sex, which goes back to this thing, men will have less sex to have more peace, because that daunting conversation, I don't want to have that daunting conversation either, because once you start having that conversation, then any sex you have after that conversation seems like it's not genuine. It seems like it's not genuine.
Yeah, and it's just like, who wants to discuss sex and how we're going to get to it to then only do it and then it should be whack, because there was this whole discussion that had to happen before. I think the best sex that happens is usually spontaneous, which is why sometimes I don't even have time to be putting on no outfits, because it's just like, yo, I just popped in my head, like, let me just go and, you know, perform. See, but I'll be performing.
So you and I have also had this conversation, because at one point I started to feel like I was the problem. So I was thinking, like, you know what, maybe I don't look the same way that I used to look. Maybe it's my beard, maybe it's my hair, maybe I need to lose weight, maybe I need to gain weight. I'm trying to figure out, what can I do to make you feel more in the mood. So as a husband, I try to take that on. Right. It's like, what can I do? And at that point, that's when you told me you weren't sure. You know what I'm saying? So what was going when I was trying to ask you to figure out, what was your steps to figure out how you could increase your libido?
So I really felt badly that you felt that you had some sort of deficit that prevented me from wanting to have sex. And that's something I really wanted to nip in the bud early, because I'm like, it's not for lack of like me being attracted to you or not wanting to, and knowing how much you wanted it, I felt inadequate. I felt like, you know, I'm the one with the deficit. If anything, it's not DeVal, it's
funny
me.
You say you felt inadequate, because I felt inadequate. Because I'm like, here I am, a man, I work out all the time, I do everything, and my wife is not into me. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Hygiene's on point.
Right. I'm like, my wife is not into me. Right. And the thing is, I'm a very selfless lover. Like, I don't just go to have sex and be like, bang, bang, I'm out. Done, I try to make sure that you're taken care of. So you felt inadequate, and I felt inadequate.
Right. So in me trying to like unpack, like, Kadeen, what is really the root of your issue when it comes to sex? It's the most frustrating thing, because it's like in your mind, you're like, okay, I want to do this. But it's like your body can't like jumpstart. It's like an engine that's lost its battery life, and it's like you're like, like you're trying to like start that shit up. You're trying to start that shit up, and it's just like, here's the valve with like the jumper cables. You know what I mean? Hence the roll over and just eat me out tonight. But I'm just saying, like, you're there with the jumper cables, and it's just like, oh, you know, it may or may not work. And in my mind, I'm like, it should just be so easy for me to say, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to please my husband. I want to be all into it. I want to be swinging from the chandeliers, dressed as all sorts of, you know, fantasy things that you want me to be. And it should be mad daunting for me, because I'm just like, my body just doesn't.
Well, you did say that you felt like after every child, and we have 3 kids, so it's like we've had children consistently. You felt like your libido dropped.
Oh, yeah.
And it hasn't rebounded.
And it has not rebounded at all.
Is it physically your libido?
And here this man talking about you want more kids. I'm like, this.
Because you asked me about legacy. You asked me about legacy. You asked me about why I'm married.
Where am I going to be sexually after that? Like, I don't know. And I'm scared to find out. A bitch is scared to find out.
I get it. Trust me. I get it. And Okay, so let me ask this question. You said was it physically your libido? Like, what do you feel like it was chemically your thing, or was it
maybe
you not
hormonally? Like, there's something internal. Because I also said to you.
But did you feel sexy? That's my point.
Did I feel sexy? I had my moments where I did, and I mean, you never made me feel as if I wasn't sexy, which was the craziest part to me. Because even in my, you know, worst day when I didn't feel sexy at all, I maybe had a little extra weight on, didn't feel like myself. You never at any point made me feel like I was lacking something.
Well, you weren't, and I know in your eyes you see yourself differently than I see you.
Right, and to me, I was like, I'm lacking all the shits. Like,
yeah, and that goes back to how we project what we want for ourselves, what we want ourselves to look like on our partner. Right. So you thought that because you had gained a little weight, and because I remember you said your areola was a little darker, you felt like you weren't attractive. Right. So I understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, Davao was like, "Oh, she's so plush and juicy
It was just
and squishy."
it turned me on. It
Your
did.
girl over here felt like what's that stuff that kids be making? Not gack.
Play-Doh?
Like the
No, you didn't feel like Play-Doh.
No, I didn't feel like Play-Doh.
No, your analogies are off today. All right,
They're-
between the farts and the car battery with the no jumper cables and now gag. I don't know who this woman is right
slime.
now.
That's what it is. Slime. I felt like soft.
You felt like slime? No,
Slimy.
you definitely didn't feel like that. And the thing is, this is what I think women need to hear. When a man chooses you to be his life partner, he chooses you for more reasons than just how you look. So there's certain things about you that attract me that have
Right.
nothing to do with how you look. So when you wake up in the morning and you don't look your best to you, to me, it's not even just about you looking good. It's your essence. There really is something about you when you smile at me, the way you smell. You know how certain people have like that physical attraction that goes beyond. That is what it is for me.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it
Agreed.
is for me. So
And I feel the same way too. That's why I've always even said too, like when you go back to like, is it me? I'm like, it's not you, because I feel like you could dangle another man in front of my face and I'll be like, I don't either. Like I don't.
No, I feel you.
You know
I
what I
hear
mean?
what you're
Like
saying.
it's not like I'm out here
I
just
hope
trying
that's
to
the
find
case because I don't
somebody
want to have to
else.
kill nobody.
Of course not.
'Cause I will kill
I
somebody.
would love for you to be around for like our children's life and whatnot, and not locked up in some cell. You know, so I get it. So they say that. This brings me to another question that I wanted to pose to you. Most marriages that end in divorce are financial issues.
Yes.
Right? But then you have marriages that end because of sexual
Sexual issues,
infidelities
infidelities, yeah.
infidelities and whatnot. So do you think that at that point, like saying that marriage is not a big weight, I mean, sex is not a big weight on most marriages. Why is it that these marriages end because of infidelities?
To be honest, I can't speak for anyone else's marriage, right? But I do feel that people put an unrealistic expectation on their partner in different facets of their life. And one of them is infidelity. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you cheat one time, you text somebody, you look at somebody else, it's a wrap, I'm out.
Right.
Without giving someone the grace to learn what's going on, especially if people have gotten married at a young age.
Right.
You
Like
know,
us. And
like
we did have
us,
an
for example.
episode last season, was it? Or the
Right,
season
when we
before,
talked about
We talked
infidelity.
about infidelity, yes.
So-
and I was getting flack like, sis, here you go, forgiving another black man. And
Right.
but black women are always forgiven. And I was just
Right.
like, sis, quiet as it's kept, there's women in relationships that they feel are monogamous, but they ain't. So if anybody's in the dark, it might be you. Like,
That's
you just
very
never
true.
know.
And then
So
and
you
there
can't
are
pass
men.
judgment.
There are men in relationships,
Right.
who they think they're being monogamous, and their wife is not being monogamous.
Right.
So I don't pass judgment on anyone's marriage.
Facts.
So anyone who pass judgment on our marriage can kiss my ass. But
That part.
and to be honest, I don't feel a way
Yeah.
about judgment, because when we
Right.
get on the platform to talk about our marriage, people have the right,
The right to have,
their opinion. So
exactly.
if that's how they feel, that's how they feel. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
I really
right.
could care less. But what I have figured out for myself is that marriage to me, because there were points in our marriage and I was like, yo, this just seems selfish and I don't know if I could exist in this. And then you start to weigh what's important
Right.
to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's important? Like I said before, you're my best friend and you're a business partner. You and I have not only developed a brand and developed a business model that works for you and I and works for building a legacy for our kids, but we've built a friendship that I think would outlast anything, because when we were broke, especially after the NFL, you and I were still best friends and we still found ways to enjoy life and enjoy each other during our harshest times. No money, we were struggling with our sex life, we had just had a child, we were struggling, but somehow through that, you and I found a way to create a great life. So for me as a married man, it's like, all right, I'm gonna have to make some adjustments in the things that I want as a man. And like you said, what do I think about in my legacy, right? Why do I get married? What do men think of, what's the thought process? I know I wanted a lot of kids. I want boys and girls. I have 3 boys. I would like to have a daughter. That's part of the legacy I want to leave. I want to be able to raise a daughter who's intelligent, who's beautiful, who has a lot of self-worth. I want to be able to give the world a young lady with those type of attributes. And I feel like we collectively can do that. So part of my legacy is not only just doing everything I can for myself or for us, but it's also in growing another productive member of society. And I want to do that to both a young man and a young woman. I have 3 boys and a young daughter. If that means I have to sacrifice other aspects of my life that may not seem perfect in what I expected, then I'm willing to do that. Because then I start to realize what I felt was perfect was only what was fed to me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I think
That's
that
fair.
if people would have fed to me the reality of being in a monogamous relationship from young, I would have known what it was. Rather than
Would you have
creating
still done it, or would you been like, I'm
I'm
not
still
gonna be
doing it
willing to-
now.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it
I
now.
mean,
I don't.
you
I
could have
don't.
bailed, but you didn't.
I could, and you could have bailed.
And I could have bailed for
so
sure.
we both made an active choice,
Right.
and continuously make an active choice to be here.
It's like, yeah,
Because,
and it's a
you know,
prioritizing.
It is
that happens.
prioritizing.
All right, so we love to have takeaways for y'all. Tips for sex after marriage, during marriage, all that good stuff. To have sex, you have to prioritize it. I think that's a necessity for me. I got to make sure that I'm like mentally like, okay, a
You've
couple
done that.
days have passed and I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, we got to get
You've
this shit
done that.
done. You know, I'm like, Dino, put it on the calendar for me so I can remember. There's a natural ebb and flow in libido over time. And that's important. Ebb and flow. That's a good way to put it. That's a good analogy. That's a good little phrase. So,
Ebb and
it
flow in
comes and
libido.
go. It comes and goes.
I know
It
you
comes
waiting
and
for mine to
goes.
go.
Facts. Don't let your solo sex life fall to the wayside. The more you have sex, the more you want it. The less you have it, the less you want it. In what world? That don't apply to you.
So you gotta listen.
Sex can be a 2-person activity or a 1-person activity. In addition to helping you get in the mood for partnered sex, masturbating can build your confidence. You don't subscribe to masturbating. You don't like that.
I just don't like it because I have a woman that I'm in love with that's in the same house as me. So it just doesn't really do
It doesn't
much
do it
me.
for you.
Nah, because it's like the minute you done masturbating, I just be feeling guilty. Like I'm masturbating, I be like, man, what for? It's what I got a wife. It's what I got married for. You know, but you did say that sometimes you try to warm yourself up.
I do.
But I mean, maybe
I do.
the more you have sex, then maybe the more you get into it. I don't know.
That's a tip.
I got a tip.
Of
And a
course you
shaft.
do. In abundance. In abundance. If you can't get into the mood, think about what's going on outside the bedroom. So is there something that's preventing you from getting there? Are you having other stressors? Things like that. The reason is simple. What you do out of the bedroom can affect what's going on or not
That's
in the
true.
bedroom. So
That's
communicating with each other, which I think we do in abundance as
Yeah.
well. Continuing to talk about sex,
Yeah.
prioritizing other forms of sexual touch and intimacy, exploring other forms of intimacy, considering to see a sex therapist. Shout out to Shan Booty on
Shan
Instagram.
Booty. Shan Boudram. She was a
yes.
guest on our show, I think,
Yes, so
2
she
seasons
has
ago.
some amazing tips.
And we're going to be on her show.
Yeah, we're actually going to be on her show
Quibi.
soon. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Learn each other's love and desire languages. Could be different. Gifts, quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch. Okay, so that brings me back to what makes things desirable for me. So you had said
Yes.
before, like I told you it wasn't something you were lacking physically. You know, I was thinking lately, you're real sexy when you like wash dishes and shit.
Yo!
Like,
Here's the setup, guys.
Putting in a load of laundry.
Here's the setup, guys.
You know,
You see the setup?
mowing the grass. Well, we have a landscaper like that for that. But I'm just saying, maybe like doing a couple things around the house that kind of helps a bit. I know you're kind of spoiled because my mom lives with us, so you really don't have to do anything around the house. However, that pile of clothes that you have on the floor by the side of the bed after I've cleaned the room up, you know, your side of the closet, like, it would be dope. And
This
that
is all
might
a
be a
setup.
turn on for me
This
if
is
you
all-
just
it
like,
might be a turn on.
you know,
I'm not doing
scour
all that shit
out the
for it not
shower
to be
every
a turn
now
on.
and again. Let's try it. We should try it. You know what? We're gonna revisit this whole sex thing after DeVal picks up some stuff around the house.
Guys.
That might make you even more sexy to me, bro.
Guys, this is how
Just
they,
saying.
This is what happens when guys
Hey, you
become.
asked me what's gonna make you
I know,
more
I got
desirable,
you.
so.
But this is what happens when guys become a simp. You know what a simp is?
What is a simp?
A
Sounds
simp-
like a word you made up.
It's not. No, if you look it up, simps are dudes who
me
just
Google that shit.
just run after and do whatever they wife say. They just whatever they woman want, they do. This often happens to husbands because wives will give lists of things that they can do to be considered more sexy in their wives' eyes, and then when they do all of this shit, and the wife still ain't putting out, then what?
Well, I mean, this is gonna be a trial and error for us. I can't say that it's gonna be a hit or miss. It may be a miss. If it's a miss, then we know it don't work.
Oh my gosh.
But on the list of things that make DeVal more desirable,
That was a good try.
that makes you DeVibe.
That was a good try.
Do you know what I mean?
That
Let's
was a
see.
good try.
I
So
ain't
so
trying
how
to make
about
you
this?
no simp.
So how about we do this? So I'll try to do that
Okay.
if you try to do the things that I've been asking you to do for 10 years.
That's fair.
That's fair?
That's fair.
Because if we're going to be fair, I've been asking you to do stuff for 10 years you haven't done.
I've done, just not consistently. Or in,
So it's
in the
not getting
frequency,
done.
in the frequency that you
Yo,
want it done,
yo.
as in every day.
The rationale that you like, the stuff you come up with is just amazing. Like, you live in your own world. In your own world, you exist in Kadeen land. That Kadeen land. You gonna say
Be happy
you
to
get
be a
it
part
done?
of it.
You just
Okay?
I am happy to
Be
be a part of it.
happy to be a part of it.
I am.
Because you're here.
I'm
and you
happy.
ain't going nowhere.
Listen.
And on that note,
I will say this: Kadeen land is great because I'll take what I can get, but what I do get is freaking amazing. You're an amazing woman that way.
you know what I mean?
I'm willing to admit that. You have
and
made
you were an amazing man.
you have made my life.
Hence why we're still here.
Exactly.
And we can talk about it. And we can laugh about it. And
You've made
we
my
can check
life.
each other.
I'm trying to give you a
and
compliment.
whatnot.
You won't even let
Thank
me give you a
you.
compliment.
I was just co-signing the compliment on
I didn't
me.
even get the compliment out yet, though.
I felt it coming though, so I was excited. I got excited because I felt the compliment.
She got
coming.
excited about her own
I was
compliment.
doubling down on my compliment.
This
But
is
go ahead.
this is what life is like
Go
as a husband,
ahead.
guys.
Go ahead.
This is what she ain't get excited. The rest of this interview, as soon as I started complimenting her, she got excited. Couldn't even.
Facts. Because I felt like I got beat
back.
down. Now I got to get built back up. You know what
Nah,
I mean?
you didn't get beat down. It's just men typically have been conditioned to not speak how they feel about sex being married.
And DeVal is making up for every man that's ever lived on
Yes,
this.
I'm
the face
changing
of
all
this
narratives.
earth.
The narrative about black men
Absolutely.
not existing, black men not protecting their wives, black men
Absolutely,
not
and as
being
you
fathers. I'm changing all
As
those
you
narratives.
should.
I'm changing this narrative too.
As
So
you
you
should.
got to accept the good with the bad, baby.
Listen, I don't think
You
it's
feel me?
bad. I don't think
You
it's bad.
feel me?
I think it's amazing that we're doing this. And I hope you think that it's amazing too. And by the looks of these listener letters coming in,
Let's see.
it seems like people are, getting into it. So,
Let's see.
all right. So the first question for today. Hey, DeVal and Kadeen. Hey, big fans of y'all. Thank you. Do you think it's right to watch porn when you're married or in a committed relationship?
This is easy.
Yeah.
Whatever y'all decide, y'all two collectively, what is in bounds and out of bounds is up to y'all.
Yeah,
If y'all decide collectively that y'all want to watch porn, cool. If y'all decide y'all don't want to watch porn, cool.
But what happens if one wants to watch and one doesn't want the other one to watch?
That's why I say collectively. Everything has to be done collectively. Like, asking someone else what's good for your marriage never works.
Right.
You have to figure out what's good for y'all too. So if they collectively decide they want to watch porn, or even if they collectively decide that they can watch porn alone, that if it works for them, it works for them.
Yeah. I mean, personally, we don't have any issues with porn. Like,
Nah, we don't have no issues with porn.
it's just like watching
That's how I learned
any
some of
other
my
video.
stuff. I be learning how to, you know what I'm saying? Kadeen be wanting to get aroused. I got to flip her upside down
Facts.
and do that.
And we do our own stunts.
Yes.
We do our own
Kadeen got this
stunts.
thing she do with her left leg.
All right. Chill. Don't be giving away all my secrets and whatnot. Don't.
The left leg movement. The left leg movement.
Yeah,
Yes.
something about the left leg. And that's amazing because I'm a righty. So the fact that bitch is ambidextrous,
No,
okay?
you ambidextrous.
Oh! Bars! That was a good one.
I'm gonna write that. You ambisexual.
Facts. Yes. Remember that shit the next time you want to tell me something about me.
I got you.
All
I
right.
got you.
You want to read the next one?
I gotta read this long one. All right, let me see.
It's a long one. Oh,
Pause.
you want to break it up?
I got it.
All right.
Y'all. It starts with y'all. 3 exclamation
So
points.
you
Can
know
I
it's
ju-
gonna be
It's
good.
gonna be good. Can I just say that you guys are awesome, and I admire the way you all have put your lives out there for others to see that marriage is a beautiful thing at work, but definitely worth it. With that said, I feel like we legit have a parallel life. I have been married for 10 years. We have 3 whole beautiful children, 7,
Yes.
4, and 2.
Oh.
My husband and I are high school sweethearts. Been together now 21 years.
Mine's
Insert,
blown.
because that's what it
Facts.
says. Insert. Okay, since I was 15 years old. I know my husband is an ex-NFL player as well. We now have full-time careers, and our focus is on raising decent human beings. They do sound like us. We are still madly in love with each other, and we are the best of friends. We have only had one other. We've only had one other as a sexual partner and want to keep it that way. But I find that our sex life is becoming a bit mundane. I'm very communicative in asking him if he wants to spice things up with whatever he wants, but he says he's content and happy with what we do. I mentioned this past career because I want to be understood. His testosterone that I deal with.
Oh my God.
Kadeen
Sis.
will get it.
We need
I
to
get it.
start a support group because you are me and I am you.
She says we get it in very regularly. He can't go too many days, like 2, maybe 3. Jesus Christ. Did I write this list in the letter?
Sis.
Without it, but it's the same thing. I want to change things up and also don't want to hurt his feelings and cause him to feel inadequate sexually. What do you guys suggest can work to improve in this area?
I don't know, sis. Rewind this whole episode and re-listen to it because we are the same people, clearly.
I'll say this. Kadeen has, because she doesn't always want to share everything about our sex life because, some things have to remain for the imagination. But Kadeen has asked me to try some things with her that I was just like, I would have never thought that you would even like that or you would want to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's my wife. If she wants to do it, I feel like it's my responsibility to adhere with whatever she needs. That's just me.
Yeah.
Like, everybody doesn't feel that way, but if wifey says she needs this, I'm on it.
Right.
So,
and for me, it became a thing of like, let's try this. Like, since we're at a point where, yes, we've been together for a long time. We've been with each other exclusively for a long time. So it's like, shit can get very monotonous. So when you want to start introducing different things, different ways, different ideas, knowing that the sex can get dry, and not wanting it to get there, then it's just like, hey, let's try this, And I think that if you both are in a committed relationship, like you said you are, you guys are still madly in love with each other, like you said you are, you're still attracted to each other. Sometimes you got to call in reinforcements, and reinforcements don't mean necessarily another person. No. You know what I mean? It can be some other shit. You know what I mean? So
I mean, you wanted me to use a vibrator one time.
Right.
I tried, and then I ain't gonna lie. At first, I was like, "Yo, what you need a vibrator for? If you got me?" I did feel like a little like taken back, like, damn, like, why?
Right, because she did say she doesn't want him to feel inadequate sexually. Like, I have to pull in other shit to make it work. And sometimes it's not a matter of just trying to get other stuff because you're lacking something. It's like, hey, I just want to add something to my experience just to try something different.
Well, I mean, it is hard for a man to feel like he's not satisfying his woman enough, especially his wife. And I'll be the first to say, you're taught from young, like, you satisfy your man, your girl. Like, that's your job. You know what I'm saying? You don't need no toys. You don't need no this. So you think that if you're not doing that, or if she says she requires that you're not fulfilling your job. And she said, he's an alpha male. His testosterone is high. He played in the NFL. He probably feels like he can solve everything.
Right.
He wants to be everything.
Talk to homeboy. Talk to
him. No, listen.
Yeah.
I have learned, this is one thing I learned. I remember growing up, being in my teenage years, you thought that the pounding was the best way to make a woman orgasm, right? You think that, the bigger, the harder you are, the harder you hit it, the longer you can hit it, the more she's going to orgasm, until you become an adult and you start to listen to women speak, and then you do research and you find out that 80% of women do not orgasm from penetration. They orgasm from clitoral stimulation. And some women require clitoral stimulation while getting penetration. And for some women, it's just like, if I've been doing this way, maybe I want to try something different.
Right.
So you got to put your ego aside and realize that, bro, it ain't even about you. At this point, your wife is saying she needs something. You have to adhere to what she's saying.
And I can empathize with her in that your body changes after children. Yeah. After multiple children. So what you might have liked before, not really feeling it this time around. That also happens. Because we spoke about it on that episode last season where things that were like, here's my analogy again, things that were like a green light is now like yellow. And then things that used to be like a red light, like hell no, is like, it's a yellow, we can try. Maybe. Or some things that were green is like, red. Stop, red. Like, no, we ain't doing that no more because my body does not like that anymore or something. So I think it's a work in progress. It evolves. The sex life definitely evolves, especially if you've been together and been married for so long. So I hope y'all are talking about it, having conversations about it, and, being open-minded enough to try new things if that works for you guys.
Yeah. Y'all keep talking about it. Y'all keep talking, but be open. Be open with each other, and good luck to y'all, and God bless. Y'all sound like y'all are great partners in life.
Right.
So
hit me up, sis, because it sounds like we should get together. Maybe
keep doing it.
We'll have our support group, and y'all can have your support group. If you'd like to be featured as one of our listener letters, be sure to email us at deadassadvice@gmail.com.
That's deadassadvice@gmail.com.
All right, moment of truth, baby.
This is my moment of truth. For men, it's important for you to understand this. Your ideas of what you think being in a monogamous relationship is, just scratch it. Once you find the person that is your soulmate, that you decide you want to spend the rest of your life with, that person will then help you figure out what that idea of monogamy is, right? So don't go into any relationship saying, if this is what monogamy is, and this is what I expect from sex through that monogamy, you're going to be disappointed. because it hasn't happened yet. You and that person haven't gotten together yet and haven't developed that. Another moment of truth for me is that although sex is important for me and it's at the top of my totem pole on things, one of the things at the top of my totem pole, it's not the top of the top. I still want to build a legacy. I love pleasing my wife. You know what I'm saying? I love having kids. I love being a great father. And more than anything else, that is what being married is about to me. So sex throughout all of that is great, but that makes it worth it. So in a lot of ways, that whole thing about a man will just have less sex happily for peace in his house, I guess is kind of true. Because
my, how the winds have shifted.
I know it's just not true because I have on many occasions just decided, you know what? I do like seeing you smile. I do like seeing you happy. I don't want to stress you out with it. And if you skipping around and happy, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool. And that does make me feel good.
I
you know?
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Look at you. He's just trying to get some tonight, y'all. That's all that is.
Just shellac the ponytail down.
All right, I was about to say you can
slack it.
I was gonna say you can leave the ponytail in for me because I've just grown to love it.
Just slack it down.
The fact that he has his ponytail, there you go.
That's all I need right there. Just
shellac it. Shellac the
Shellac
ponytail.
it.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, my moment of truth is quick. Treating sex like it's just a random, stagnant thing is just not gonna work. It's always evolving. For people, for us. See, I need shellac now. Thank you. Don't lick your hand. That's such a parent-child thing to do.
Yes.
But sex is always evolving, and it's evolving in many ways, not just physically, but emotionally. It's involving your partner in it. Having the open discussions about it, as hard as it may be for the other to hear, I think it's just necessary. So put your egos aside. Put the egos aside. And just really listen to what each other needs. And then you create your own action plan in your mind of how you want to shift that. And that's something that, your girl's working on a day-to-day basis. I'm trying to make us all happy up in here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Genuinely happy, too, so that it's not something that's forced.
Yes.
So.
Also, real quick, I don't want to forget the young women who hit me up who said they have the reverse, who their sex drive is higher than their significant others. And they said they're made to feel like whores or they're made to feel like something is wrong with them. No. If you're a young lady who have a high sex drive, you just have a high sex drive.
Sis,
there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Put
you know
me
what I'm saying?
on.
Try to find somebody who can rock with you and don't feel a way about expressing how you feel. Because the reason why Kadena and I work is because we openly talk about how we feel. So if he's rocking with you, don't feel uncomfortable. Let him know that you need it more, and hopefully he can adhere to what you need and do what he needs to do as a man.
We gave y'all some tips. Send me some tips for the women with the overactive sex drives.
I got plenty of tips for you. I told you that.
I want to know from the women with the overactive sex drive.
Oh,
what can I do?
I want to talk about that type of tip.
Is there a supplement? Is there something? Is there something? All right, now, well, be sure to find us and follow us on social media, Deadass the Podcast. And, of course, you can find me, Kadeen I Am.
And I am davao. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Deadass. Go get you some ass. Hey.